we built technology and tools that the guy at the coffee shop gets to use and Alicia Keys gets to use.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to our conversation.
Yeah, welcome.
Welcome. We're glad you're here. I'm Lindsay Benedetto.
I'm Craig Rector.
We sat down with Jarred Goldner, the director of set. And can I just say that the conversation, incredible.
It was delightful.
It was delightful. Not at all what we expected or
Not
planned.
I think we had a roadmap and it was like paved and everything, and we
did not follow the yellow brick road.
Yeah, we went overlanding. Yeah.
We went overlanding, but truly, we talked about the state of the music industry, some of the barriers and problems that artists are facing today. So just an amazing conversation.
Yeah, yep. So we won't give too much away. If you would like that pot of Goldner at the end of the rainbow, stay tuned.
Hey, awesome. Jarred, we're super excited to have this chat with you today. This is another day in the office for us. Another day, another conversation where we're talking about problems artists are facing, what the solutions are. So I think we wanted to start with Music Biz.
Yeah.
We were at Music Biz a few weeks ago. Jarred, you moderated a panel with some music industry experts, thought leaders.
Beautifully moderated.
Perfectly
moderated.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
We absolutely loved it. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how that panel discussion went. The response was incredible. Craig and I were manning the booth. There were a lot of people that came up afterwards because they resonated with the problem that artists are facing. And so let's start there. What's one of the primary barriers or problems that artists are facing today?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I think you said a couple of interesting things. One, I know you said it's another day in the office. It is, but it's not. This is actually the first time we're doing something like this. And so I think everyone's pretty excited for the amount of content we're putting out now, the ways that we're helping artists, managers, labels, marketing folks, just the volume and being such a really thought of industry source, I think is so important. So this is actually kind of a not so average day in the office, as I think this is going to be the start of something really exciting. And then for the panel, I appreciate the kind words, but I wish I could take credit. I think when you look at the people that we had on the panel and the amount of knowledge that was really in that room, to me, that's what made the panel so great. It's not that I asked such outstanding, never, before heard questions. I think it was really the idea that you have Ari, who's written a couple of books, one in particular that a lot of people, especially if you're in the independent space, have read, and then you have Luke, who's partner in a management company, has been really successful, has worked with across a wide variety of genres, right? And you look at what he's doing with a male country a cappella group, and honestly, I can only think of one other a cappella group that plays in anywhere near the size rooms that he has home free in. And what he's been able to do, build upon, and build their business, I think has been really interesting. And last but definitely not least, you have Caitlin, who she basically runs M Theory at this point. She is an unbelievable marketer, account management person, understands both the business side and the artist side so well. It's actually why, if you look, her artists, and in particular M Theory artists as a whole, because we don't just work with Caitlin anymore, we work with Caitlin and about 6 other people at M Theory, which is really amazing. Yeah. Their artists seem to do better than most. And one of the reasons is because they get it. And I think to answer your question, right, they really get what the problems are that musicians and managers and marketing folks in the industry really have today. And it's this combination of, one, I don't know who comes to my live shows, and obviously we help out a lot with that with set, but it's really this education all around. Social media is always changing, right? Yeah. Let's look at, I'll age myself a little bit, right? I had a MySpace page, then I had a Facebook page, and I'm old enough to tell you that I had a Facebook page when I had to have a university email account to have a Facebook page.
Same.
Right? I think we blew some of our staff's mind when I
we were coding our MySpace pages in like the 8th grade.
Oh, I know. And
I mean, coding the songs.
We felt like web developers.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I mean,
But then when I was actually able to upload and put like my own music on my Facebook,
Yes.
my MySpace, I mean, I just felt like the whole world could now see my see my music.
There it is on display. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
what
then
a time.
We had blogs, which there were a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And then there were video blogs. That was really popular for about like a year and a half.
Yeah, vlogging.
Yeah, vlogging,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you look at the rise of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And I think we ask too much now of musicians. And it's one, you have to understand how to engage your fans in all these different ways on all these different platforms all the time. You're not allowed to go dark. You have to be constantly communicating with them. Those things are ever changing, right? How many times has Twitter changed the rules? How many characters? Same with Facebook. You used to not be able to post with a photo. Then it was, do you know how to upload videos to Facebook? I made a career out of that in the early, 2010, 2011 was like helping dentists learn how to put a video on Facebook, which is really crazy. But going back to musicians, why this is important is I think we ask too much of them. And in this ever-changing landscape of, even the last decade, how many social platforms do you need to be on while making great music, while running your business?
Yeah, it's a constant moving goalpost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think for us, part of the education needs to really be focused on, look, if you can have that direct relationship and reach out and say, hey, Lindsay and Craig, thanks so much for coming to my show, or thanks for being here tonight, and just have that small ounce of personalization, but be able to talk directly to you, I think it makes all the difference in the world. It's what helps impact your career longevity, right? Then you don't have to play in front of 10,000 people to be successful.
Yeah.
You can play in front of a couple hundred people every night and be successful as long as you're engaged with those folks. Something that's really interesting is we've always said, and I know all of our materials have a stat that says fans who come to your shows spend 20x on you and your music per year than someone who just hearts your post.
Yeah.
And with that, like we work with a couple of companies that do nothing but subscription-based models, right? And we were just talking with one of them yesterday, and it was like for their 2 artists that are using our tech, capturing data, then getting those subscription models, they're not seeing 2 or 3x, or they're not even seeing 20x. They're seeing 30 to 35x the spend,
incredible.
Which is amazing. You talk about like now they have a couple artists that are cutting in their first or second album. They're making 50, 60,000 a year just on recurring revenue, which covers the cost of that recorded album, which covers the cost of the new content they want to make.
Yeah.
And so it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the stat in itself is, pretty impressive of, what people who buy tickets versus the, kind of the regular music fan. But like, I don't think people really know the mindset of like really how important having that information is, and the mindset of those people that not only found you, but liked you and are like spending money that, it seems as though a lot of artists really value that social following number and don't really grasp that a much more condensed, like there's only a fraction of those people that follow you on social that will be active in any way in helping your career, your music. And so to get the information,
we're on a mission to change that, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole,
yeah.
It's a huge portion of our company and our goals is how do we help educate people to understand that your Instagram followers isn't the end all be all for you, right? And so, it's very serendipitous that we're having this conversation because it's not only should you be focused on capturing that information, but it's really, okay, great. I have these people. What do I do with it?
Yeah.
Right? What should I do? What are the best practices, or how can I leverage now the fact that I just met 100 new people each night, right? 10 times, that's 1,000 people. I have 1,000 new people that I've quote met. What on earth do I do with that? How do I engage those people? What are they looking for from me, and what should I be providing back to them in kind? And so I think that's really the most interesting topic is let's take the collection, which we're great at, but let's take that out of the equation. It's like, even if you don't get it from us, what on earth should you be doing with all this information. And I think that's what's so important is, even setting up the simple flow of, hey, thanks for coming to my show, or thanks for engaging with me. That simplicity or that feel of personalization goes a long way. The same goes with, you get an email and it asks you to do something. For me, I'm slightly clean shaven today, and it's like, look, Dollar Shave Club knows everything about me, asks me to do things for them all the time, but they make it really simple. They make it really easy, and it feels very personal. Now, sure, in the back of my mind, I know Dollar Shave Club, they're like $1 billion company now. I don't think, CEO of Dollar Shave Club is personally emailing me. However, it does feel nice that like there's that personalization to it.
Yeah.
And so I think the same thing goes for a musician, right? This idea that I can reach out to you directly and say, hey, Lindsay, thanks so much for coming to the show. And then ask you a question, whether that's follow me on Instagram, because, that's still something you care about, right? Yeah. Well, that's a really easy way to get people to engage, or subscribe or buy my stuff. And then in kind, because it's a give and take, I can then see how you engage, give you more feedback, give you the things that you engage with, right? If I send you 3 emails about liking me on Instagram and you refuse, right? Maybe that's not the right messaging for you.
Yeah.
And I should be focused on my merch or my music or anything else to get you to continually engage. And I think that engagement is so much more powerful, because now I have you in my web, so to speak, right? Like you're in my ecosystem.
Yeah.
And you're engaging with me in the ways that I want you to engage, as opposed to me posting on Instagram and hoping the algorithm picks it up that day.
Yep.
Right. It's just as much of a fan decision as it is the artist's decisions to figure out how they acquire that information on the fan, which is what creates that stickiness in that direct to fan relationship. And I think one of the things I love about an artist owning their, we could talk all day about what the best practices are, what you should do with all that data once you have it. And we'll certainly do that. There's a million different topics we could talk about. But what I love about the artist owning their own relationship is that it's authentic and unique. Every single artist does it differently. There's a million different ways that you could do that.
Well, you just said an interesting thought is, there is a difference between getting the data, owning that relationship, and then what do you do with it? I would also say, like, you don't have to have all of that figured out. Like, that is your information. That is your fan. Yeah. Like, the first step is mastering, the process of getting that. But what I was going to ask you was, I did get a little bit of, it seems as though artists are a little hesitant, that there's this mentality that it's somehow asking too much, or that somehow awkward, or, to ask a fan for, their information, and then when you have that information to kind of self-promote and to build that relationship and to nurture that relationship, it seems as though there's a little bit of a, like it's a little like I shouldn't do that, or somehow not selling out, but
it feels too much like self-promotion,
salesy
and almost.
So what would you say to artists and just that mindset in general?
Yeah, so I'd say in general, I agree, right? But it's the same reason that you don't walk up to a stranger and just say, hey man, can I have your email address, right? But at the end of I'll say a date, right? Which going to a concert is very much akin to a date. You're winning somebody over. They might be seeing you for the first time. If they're really happy with you, you want to plan that next thing. You want to go on that second date. You want more information from them. And I think that if you look at it from that mindset, that my fan already paid to be here. They didn't have to be here tonight. They, look at Lindsay, right? Lindsay is a mom. She has kids. She has a husband. The amount of effort it takes for Lindsay to mentally decide to go to a show, right, is a tremendous amount of effort, time, money. And I think the more an artist realizes, wow, Lindsay didn't just spend the last hour with me in this room. Lindsay might have spent the last 5 days planning this, executing this, showing up. Of course she wants to hear more from me. Yeah. Look at the amount of effort. She doesn't want to just hear from me for the hour that I played my set, or 2 hours that I played my set, or if you're lucky enough, 3 hours for Taylor Swift, straight through, right? Most people don't do that. But like, even for that, it's like, Lindsay, how many hours did it take for you to plan to go to Taylor Swift, right? And by hours, I mean days.
Yeah.
Right? And so like, I think when you have
But
that
not only
type
that,
of
that
mindset,
relationship that's been built over
Yeah.
months and even years of loving Taylor Swift,
Right.
you know.
exactly.
So that I'm happy making that investment of time, resources, aligning all the things to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
when you look at that, and it's not just this stranger danger, right?
Yeah.
Like it's someone that you feel connected to,
Yeah.
and you're asking them for like a little bit of info, not so that you can text them 24/7.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the dating scenario, right? I think we all know if you go on that date and then they're blowing up your phone every hour of every day, you're like telling everyone like, "Oh my God, can you believe this guy?" Like, or can you believe this girl? Like, what is happening, right? And then it becomes a joke. And so I think there's that really great give and take of having I keep saying dating, but it's really about having an unbelievable relationship and controlling that relationship through good communication, which is the foundation of every relationship anyway, right? But being able to then say, no, this is a person who's already invested time. I'm going to ask them for a little bit and I'm going to give them so much more back, right? Looking at Alicia Keys as a really amazing example. She's like, I want to give back to my fans. She's like, yes, the marketing person told me this is important and I get it, right? But at the end of the day, for me, what's most important is I want to connect with the fans who want to connect with me. So if they're willing to give up their email address, I'm going to give them something really, really special of the last 2 hours of this show that we've now shared together. And each of her shows was different for every single crowd. And now you got a piece of that show that you have forever. I think that is where this becomes so unique and so special, is because you can craft that messaging and then it doesn't feel like you're a stranger, right? You're not bumping into someone at a coffee shop and saying, hey, give me your phone number, right? That's weird,
Yeah.
right? And you wouldn't do that in your real life.
No.
So why would an artist? But at the same time, if you're with a bunch of friends, you have a great time and you don't know one of the people, do you ask them for their phone number at the end of the, time? There's 6 of you, you have 5 people's phone number, you want the 6 persons, right?
Absolutely.
It's not weird at all, right? You ask your friends, hey man, what's your email? Why can't an artist do the same thing?
And I think to build on that, Jarred, Craig and I, we spend all of our time in the marketing world. Marketers everywhere do this, right? We are always thinking about, who are we talking to? What do they want? So it's almost this like mental shift for the artist, yes, to think about themselves and nurturing that authentic direct-to-fan relationship, but also if they've invested their time, resources, energy, they already want to be in my space, they want to be at my live show tonight, what do they want? Now, when I went to Taylor Swift, if she used Set.live and was like, who wants to meet me backstage, scan the QR code on the screen for your chance to win, I would be all over that. Like, it is nothing to me to be like, yes, I want my opportunity to go hang out with Taylor Swift backstage. And so I even think, for artists learning to reframe and thinking about, how do my fans behave? That's the marketing piece of it. Like, what do they want when they get to a show? What could I give them that would be unique, special? In Alicia Keys' example, we talk about Tenille Townes a lot too, and how she gives away that selfie with the crowd. It's so great because it's authentic to who she is, and she gets that selfie with all of her fans in the background, and then she's like, all right, who wants this? Check in. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, even just helping the artist reframe how they're thinking about their fans and what their fans really want out of that live experience.
Oh, I totally agree. And again, it's like they're already a fan, right? You're not asking this stranger for something random. Right. You already have this relationship. Most of the people who come to see you follow you on some form of social platform. Yep. The problem is you're always subject to that algorithm, how many people have posted that day that they follow, like, are you going to show up in their feed? And so your focus is always then turned to, am I making the best content that's going to maybe not even excite my fans the most, but show up to my fans, right? That's a weird concept of like, I want to make sure it shows up, not I want to make sure it's the best.
Creating content that feeds the algorithm, but that also appeals to the fans.
Exactly.
It's like impossible. Yeah. You need an algorithm-proof strategy essentially for it to work.
I have an algorithm-proof strategy. It's called going direct to your fans.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the whole point,
that's
right?
the point. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that is that's a great way to put it. What is the, algorithm-proof process? And then you can be blunt. You can tell them, hey guys, I need more merch sales, or hey guys, I need more Instagram followers. You know, and then guess what? Either ask your fans or tell them why it's important in the first place. Hey guys, I'm trying to get a brand partnership deal, and brands really care about how many Instagram followers I have. So can y'all make sure you go follow me on Instagram so I can do more stuff?
Yeah.
Like that's okay. Because again, you're being honest with your fans that you have a true relationship with.
Yeah.
It's not a stranger. It's someone who wants a relationship with you.
Mm-hmm.
So you said something, we were talking about some of the examples, and you did with Alicia Keys. It seems as though we've talked about getting the information, and fans are willing to give you that information, but it's not that the artist is up there saying, "Hey, y'all, can I have your email address?" That what we're actually talking about is specifically talk about set.live is in those moments being able to be authentic to who you are and who you are with your fans, and to be able to create a moment that in that process you're getting that information. So like talk about some of those examples, some of your favorites of the way that the artists do it that is authentic and natural and feels good and that fans love.
Yeah. So there's too many to count at this point, which is, a great problem to have. But like, I think of artists like Ron Pope who do a really good job. He has people voting on one of the songs in the middle of the set. And he has this really great, back and forth with the crowd where it's, hey guys, I want you to help me. I want to play the songs that you really want to hear. I'm here. You're here. We're here together. Let's share this time in this moment. So help me figure out what songs you care about most. And the way that he engages the fans in that way to like bring them in, it's almost, like when a movie does like the whole fourth wall. It's very much like you don't get that very often. How often, Taylor Swift doesn't ask your opinion when she gets up on stage before she sings one of her songs, right? And so this idea that he's in a setting, he's by his piano, and he's like, hey guys, let's do this together, again, helps to automatically build that sense of community where then when they go to do that, they don't care that they're giving up their email address or their phone number because they feel like they're part of the community. They feel like they're a part of the show tonight. That show is now special and unique to them. Yeah. And so I really like when he does that. I mean, there's a million examples. I think of, our good friend Luke and Home Free. And the way they do it, or even the way the War Hippies do it, where they don't even tell fans what they're getting. They're just like, hey guys, here's the deal. We love this crowd. Who wants some free stuff?
Yeah.
Then they start to go, okay, great. Here's how you get it. And then they tell you what the prize is. And you see people like rush to do it even faster, right? Where Home Free's on stage and they go, who wants free stuff? Great. Go to set.live. By the way, when you get there, you're going to find out that you're getting backstage passes. Yeah. It's like, that's exciting, right? And the way they build that, I'll say, moment of excitement is just really fun and engaged for the fans. And again, you said it earlier, who doesn't want to meet the artist that you've paid a ticket for? Or who doesn't want a memento that's the one-of-one scenario, right? Getting the signed set list, which, by the way, for an artist is free. It just costs them a moment. It's a piece of paper that they're most likely going to throw away at the end anyway, right? And it's like, here's something free. Your fans are going to love you forever. It creates valuable content. It's something that those people are going to go share on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Again, you're creating that sense of community, and you can do that over and over and over again. And as you continue to create that community, your community grows and becomes larger and larger. You're like, this is my tribe. These are my people. And I can now tell them and reach out to them when I'm ready, when I have something important to say, right? And it's no longer I'm feeding this hopeful algorithm. It's I'm reaching out on my terms, and I'm telling them something that's really important because they also told me they want to know the important things directly from me.
Yeah. That's good.
What's your favorite example, Craig?
Listen, I'm 100% partial to the Tennille Towns. I
think
just
you use that one every time. In
every
music
time.
Every time. And like you get into it. You act the whole thing out. Like you spun in your chair, and it was like she turns around, takes
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's masterful at it, though. I mean, it really
Truly.
is. Like,
That's the
I
beauty of it.
appreciate the affinity towards it. One, her team is amazing, by the way. Separate note. Shout out to Shopkeeper and the rest of their team, Laura, and that whole group is really awesome, and they're doing some very, very cool things with all their artists, whether it be Tennille, Miranda, and any of the people that they work with. I mean, they're top notch. So I do want to call that out. But I mean, on Tennille specifically, right? Like, she's just so easy to like.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you guys have seen her in concert. Like, I have, and I highly recommend it. Like, just talk about winning over a crowd. Man, she wins you over in like 30 seconds. Like, it's so effortless for her. She just wins you over. Like, the crowds love her. Yeah. And she just has that smile. She has that, I don't know, she's cool. I don't know what it is. Like,
stage, yeah.
She has charisma. She's just cool. Like, it's like, man, I want to hang out with this person. Right.
Well, but to find out that that's something that she did, it wasn't said out live and it's like, oh, this is a cool idea. It was what I find so profound about it, because it's profoundly simple, was this was something that you already did with your fans, and then you turned it into a way that, allowed you to grow that relationship and to get that information, to make it a part of, something that built something bigger than, just more social
You made
content.
it authentic to yourself, and you took something you were already using and just made it that much more impactful to everybody in the room. I agree. I mean, like, again, I didn't tell her that, she came up with that all on her own. I wish I would have thought of it. Right. But like, I always like when the artist it clicks, right? I think of Michael Manelli.
That was going to be my example.
Oh, then I'll let you go. But like, I think of Michael Manelli.
Yes.
And what he does.
Yeah.
I won't steal your thunder, but I mean, that is like,
I mean,
it's perfect.
I love artists who just invite the fans into that sort of like talk back experience. That's exactly what Michael Manelli does. And so he's like, go to set.live, say it with me, set.live. And everyone's repeating like, and he makes them repeat it like, call and repeat like 3 different times. And by the third time they're saying it, they're basically screaming set.live. And so everyone's got their phones out and they're like scanning the QR code. And I'm like, yes, that is the energy that I love. And he didn't, I mean, I don't know. That just seemed totally true to his personality. That's how he would talk to you if he like saw you on the street, and when he's at a concert or whatever, he's just being himself, and the crowd totally ate it up and just fed right into, the palm of his hand. And so I love that example.
I agree. I think the other piece to that example is that I think he's really teaching other acts that are opening right now.
Yes.
How they can make their opening slot impactful. Yeah. Because what he's doing is he's saying, hey, I'm coming back to this city later, not with this guy, but on my own terms. Yeah. And I want you to be a personal guest. I'm going to pick random people to be my VIP when I get to come back here as the headliner. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, that's only in a couple of months, right? It's not like we're waiting 5 years here.
Right.
It's like, I'm coming back in a couple of months. So if you want to see me again, which I just had you yelling out a company that you've never heard of. So I think I've won you over at that point. Like, so who doesn't want to then
certainly won us over?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to then join him?
It's so good,
right? And so I think the way he does that is beneficial to him. Yeah, it's beneficial to his marketing company. I know his booking agent is real happy because guess what? Now he has 300 names a night of people who bought tickets to physically see a concert and gave up their information. Again, it's about that community and relationship. So guess what? When his headline tour starts at every single city where he has 300, 500, 600 people at a time now, he's going to directly be able to email them to go buy tickets right away. Yeah. Right? Let's talk about like cutting out the middleman.
Right.
He doesn't have to post 85 times now, hey, Dallas, I'm coming back to your city and I'm headlining. It's going to be, I'm going to send an email and see how many people interact. I might be able to sell out 80% of my tickets just through my own email because my fans are staying in touch with me.
Yeah. It's an interesting point to make because you just brought up how he was opening. And so I don't know if you want to speak to it, but that whether you are just starting out and you're playing 100 cap rooms or you're playing arenas, whether you're opening or whether you're headlining, that the practice of engaging with your audience or getting that information and starting to build that fan base and owning that fan base is important at every level at any situation. Again, whether you're starting out or whether you're a bigger artist, and whether you're opening or whether you're the headliner.
Yeah, so I think it's really interesting, right? Whether you are playing in front of 50 people at a bar, or you are Alicia Keys and Lizzo and Taylor Swift and all these other amazing, I'll say, arena-size acts, there are two things that are constant. One, most of these folks still don't know who's physically in the room. And I think that, oddly enough, doesn't change no matter how much money, wealth, success, anything that you've had. You might have a larger list because you've been doing it longer. But overall, right, that is a fundamental fact that most of the time you're not going to know who's in the room that night, on a given night, at a given show. And that, again, is the same for Alicia Keys and Lizzo as it is for guy down street with guitar on back
at the coffee shop.
At the coffee shop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He still doesn't know. And so I really think, which we don't talk about enough, and we probably should, this idea of democratizing music in a way that's easy to digest and understand for people is so important. And it's why we started the company in the first place, right? Was this idea around making it easier, making it more accessible for people. And I'll tell you, like, it is really cool now to watch and say that, hey, we built technology and tools that the guy at the coffee shop gets to use and Alicia Keys gets to use, right? Like, we've made technology, and specifically like marketing tech, which primarily does not happen in any industry, accessible to everyone, whether you're a high dollar, I'll say billion-dollar industry, or you are just starting out and you're putting out your first couple of songs, right? Like, that accessibility does not happen. And most of the time it comes at a high cost. I mean, I even think of just the level of email marketing softwares, right? Like, we use HubSpot, right? I don't even want to know what our HubSpot bill is, and it has to be outrageous. But the idea that, like, let's be honest, they don't really have like some freemium version that someone who's just starting out with 5 employees can really use or use efficiently. We have something that, people can use, whether they're top of the food chain or they are just starting out. And so I think that that's something that we probably should do a better job of focusing on, this idea around accessibility, democratization, right? Like, these are key factors in why we started the company in the first place 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And so to be able to now actually like fulfill those types of goals with our technology, I think is really impressive. It's one of the things I know Jeff is like over the moon about, as someone who runs our tech, was an artist, has worked with musicians repeatedly, and knows those struggles. It's, I'm sure the same for you, right? Craig, you were an artist, but when you were an artist, you wish you had free tools like this.
I wish.
Right? Like, maybe we'd be seeing you at a stadium now instead of, you hanging out with here at the podcast, right? Lindsay might be checking.
Although we're very glad that you're here with us, Craig.
Yeah, but like, Lindsay might be checking in to meet you backstage, right? Like,
and instead you get to hang out with me every day.
I mean,
what a trade.
I feel like, I got the good end on that one.
Yeah, but Craig maybe not so much, right? So like,
exactly.
You never know. But I guess my point though is you never know what these tools can lead to.
Right.
And it's more about the idea that like Craig didn't have that sense of like, oh, a company has my back. I have accessibility. I have something that can actually help me. It was I'm on my own. I'm going to have to bust my ass. It is a constant struggle.
Yeah.
It is a grind, right?
Not
like
the clipport and the paper.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then every opportunity that was at all meaningful took from me, it never gave to me. It was, I had to, this month I'm going to try this that costs this much. And this month I'm going to try this that costs this much. And then, And it was,
because it's hard and it's
Yeah.
not accessible, right?
Right.
And so this idea of like, again, going back to this idea of accessibility, right? I think is so important, where people say, oh, well, Instagram is free and you can get your music on Spotify. It's still hard. Like, let's
Yeah,
be
you can't
really
control that.
clear.
There is exactly zero control in Instagram.
Exactly.
It might be free, but you can't develop a strategy around it that is going to give you. It's not a high enough ROI at the end of the day.
right.
Exactly. You just said it, like the idea of like strategy.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go, oh, well, I'm one guy. Oh, we'll pick on Craig for a second, right? Like, he's one guy trying to make music. He's posting on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, it's about access versus not to, get on Taylor Swift, but like Taylor Swift has a team and probably two people that just write her tweets.
Yeah.
Right? Like, in terms of compatibility, Craig can't compete with that.
Yeah. Even thinking about TikTok and like the rise of these musicians at home who rose to stardom essentially through TikTok during the pandemic. I've read recently that it's hard to get famous that way now. Like, there were some budding artists that were just like, I mean, they leveraged TikTok when it was a newer thing. And
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought this up.
oh
And
yeah,
I think this is
Yeah.
maybe how we should end, because I think this is such an interesting topic.
yeah,
One of the things that's been a huge challenge, and I've talked to a bunch of our agency buddies and, booking, in terms of agency, I mean like booking agents, right? One of the hardest things that they are trying to figure out right now is TikTok. And the reason is, going back to this ownership and community, everyone's built, if you're TikTok famous, like you just alluded to, you've built this really interesting community on TikTok, right? The problem with that is twofold. One, it lives on TikTok and TikTok alone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which means you don't know who any of those people are.
No.
Even if you can segment them to say, okay, they're in the United States or they're in Texas or wherever they are, you still don't know how passive versus active those people are.
Right.
And so agents are having a heck of a time trying to figure out, plan, and structure what rooms to put people in, what to ask, what do these artists command
Right.
in terms of a booking, a talent fee, right? They have no idea right now. And I think that is one of the most interesting and challenging pieces now, is that you get famous on social media, but what does that equate to?
But then
those
what?
TikTok, exactly. But then what?
Are you going to sell out an arena-sized stadium like Taylor Swift would, or are you going to fill 50 people in a coffee shop at best?
Well, how about this? You get booked for a room with 200 people and 30 people show up.
I mean,
One, you're
catastrophic.
exactly.
Yeah.
How bad does the artist feel? How bad does the agent feel?
Yeah.
How upset is the venue, right?
Yeah.
Like, these are all real problems that people
Right.
are struggling with now. And so, again, it goes back to like, who's not going to have that problem? Mr. Michael Manelli. You know why? Because he actually knows who those people are that are coming to his concert. He can show his booking agent, whoa. Hey, I have 600 people just in Dallas alone that I can reach out to. So, like, don't book me in the 50-person room. Right?
Yep.
And so now it makes it that much easier for everyone else on his team to help execute his vision, his music, his touring, and everything else that he personally wants to accomplish.
Yeah.
And so then, and this is a bit of a leading question, but we've talked a lot about how do you find out who's in the room when they come to your show, and all that is about how do we extract information, how do we understand from the live. But it seems as though there needs to be a strategy that isn't just about how do we figure out TikTok, but how do we figure out not only TikTok, but how do we pull that information from TikTok into that owned relationship as well?
Yeah, no, I absolutely. And I think,
or any social platform.
Yeah.
well, I think we have other tools to do that, and that should be a whole other
Yes.
topic and conversation.
More
and
cliffhanger. We'll leave it there.
Cliffhanger.
To
exactly.
be continued.
But really,
Yeah.
that's a great question for Jeff, right? Yeah. Of how do you take what's on socials or on the internet, not even socials. Let's look at like Discord and all these other places. How do you take what's active and where your community is being built online and bring that, IRL, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really important.
I actually think I heard Jeff say it at Music Biz, which was with all the effort that artists do in creating content and putting on shows and creating music and drawing those fans in, that part of the responsibility is how do you take all of the efforts that you're doing in any format to pull that into your everything you should be doing should be drawing people closer into your own relationship with the fan base.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks,
I feel
Jarred.
like we could sit and talk all day.
Oh, yeah.
So
we can.
We could go on and on and on.
We started this with how are we going to fill the time? And then now I'm like, oh my gosh, we only got through half the stuff. Can we go longer?
Too many questions. I know. There's going to be a part 2. There's going to be a follow up to this discussion with you, Jarred.
I have no
doubt. We'll be ready to go deep.
No, this was good.
All right. Thanks,
Awesome.
Jarred. We appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Jarred.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, if there is one thing that you do today, make sure that you're following us. That was such a good conversation.
It was incredible.
Yeah. So you know the drill. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow,
Tell
so that you
everybody
know
you
the
know.
next time we have another great conversation like that.
Yeah. And tell all your friends.
And family.
Can't forget family. 100%.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next time.